Roll call for the City Council meeting of Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. President Witherspoon, members Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop.
Good morning, everyone. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to accept the minutes from the August 20th, 2025 meeting and bills for payment on September 5th and 12th, 2025. Members Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon.
At 9:30, we will have a public hearing. And wherever we are in the agenda, we will interrupt and then continue to proceed after that. Right now, are there any citizens to be heard?
Oh, we have a repository sale.
Okay. Are there any repository sales? Are there any repository sales?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Bishop Dwayne Brock, and I do not know the process. So tell me what to do,
Bishop
Mr.
Brock, in
Chairman.
front of you, there's a list of questions. If you could answer those, tell us the property location, and those are sort of your intentions, and then council might ask you questions.
Well, the property is vacant right behind the gymnasium that we have built. The property is landlocked. In fact, the Erie Police had to remove, they were camping there, the homeless, and so it's vacant, and those who have used it as a dumping site. So as we expand the campus there at Eagles Nest, we would like the city to consider Eagles Nest purchasing this property.
Are there any questions from council?
Is there anything planned for the property specifically, or do you just want to be able to have access to that area and enclose it?
Well, we're expanding rapidly. We have 15 buildings in the area at the campus as we speak. We just added the third grade, so we have kindergarten, first, second, third, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Next year, we'll be adding the fourth grade, so we're going to have to build, and so we're looking for the property to expand so we can build to add the fourth and fifth grade, and then hopefully we'll go on beyond eighth grade.
Any other questions from council? Hearing none. Bishop, we will not vote on this today. We will vote on it at our next meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Citizens to be heard, please come to the mic, give us your name and your municipality. You have 5 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Doveshaw. I live in the city of Erie. I am here today to speak on a couple of items. After I started the study session yesterday and listened to all the information about the Miller Brothers bond, I believe that the council in its entirety should table moving the bond forward until the public receives all the detailed projections of how much this will actually cost the taxpayers. Where's this money coming from in the general budget? I might look like I'm not listening, but I am. I am hearing and seeing it all. And I research everything. What services are going to be cut? What positions are going to be cut? How much more are the taxpayers going to have to pay in taxes for this to go through? We as the public, as your constituents, in some cases your neighbors, and the people who elected you to this council, demand to know, deserve to know the full and entire plan before it goes forward. We are tired of seeing our money in the city and the county disappearing because we're not getting all the right information, or it slides in because there's no other issues that take priority at that time. For example, it was purchased for $2.7 million. GoErie.com released an article in 7/23/25 where it said that they would be seeking a $30 million capital improvement bond. A year later, 8/21, GoErie said the capital bond has now jumped up to $52 million. That's $22 million more in a year. How much more? So I urge the entire council to table this until the public gets all the information, all the projections. On to a more issue with more precedence. In my heart, let's talk about Marcello Woodard. I am still intensely angry and disgusted that more has not been done through the city council and city leadership to give the family support. No, I'm not saying financially. That would be great, but I know how this goes. I'm talking about emotional support, being transparent with the family and offering them your ear, saying, I'm sorry for your loss. What can I do for you? Not much if I heard right. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. With that being said, you as elected officials have to stand up and decide to be open and honest with your constituents on how you feel. We deserve to hear from your voices open and honest remarks about how you feel personally about this murder. In my opinion, and it's just my opinion, it speaks of your character. And we need to know more about your real character before we re-elect anybody. Yes, it is nice to hear what you want to accomplish, but how do you really feel? You can speak on needing justice, knowing that means reform and change, but then fund the police to the tune of $50 million without demanding reform and change from them. How is providing a better gun range to practice going to fix justice? Are we just teaching them to aim better or not to shoot first? Maybe we should take some of that $50 million and hire a public affairs officer for the EPD, since they can't seem to control the systemic racism rhetoric. Also, it was brought to my attention that the Erie police chief said his department wasn't racist because his white officers listened to rap music. That's not it. Since Marcello's murder and no names have been named and no information has been given, there has been silence. And this hurts the city like Erie, PA, the 814. We are big enough to be a city, but small enough to know each other's families, friends, grandparents, cousins, all of that. We demand as the public, your constituents, and the people that will be electing the next seats on city council, answers for all of Marcello's family. Justice doesn't just look like answers for Marcello. It looks like answers for every Black and brown community member who feels this discrimination. This is the only way the healing can begin, and that's with transparency, honesty, and integrity. And I can say, just watching social media, since Marcello's murder, the young Black men that have been, we will say, aggressively arrested or aggressively accosted has went up. The other day, the young man was banged on a car. Enough is enough. Justice for Marcello.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Deontay Cooley, lifelong Erie resident. And I agree with everything that was just presented as far as tabling the decision or waiting to vote on the decision for the Miller Brothers project. Because I do agree that we need police, but that's not the answer right now. And if we are able to find $52 million to invest in the Erie community, why not that be a resource? If that's the center of the city, why not offer support for our residents as opposed to putting police in the community or even allowing officers to take their cars home? Like, we need people to learn how to read. Put a book mobile in the community. Like, when it snows, put a plow truck at the community center and empower some people to utilize their resources. But if we can find money to offer the police or offer the services to increase and upgrade, we can find money for our community. When we talk about justice for Marcello Woodard, like, again, we've heard little to none of you all speak. And when we talk about justice, it does not just mean an arrest. So when we talk about things that we help and then we are hearing that, there's millions of dollars that are going to be available or we're searching for, or we want police officers to bring their cars home, it's kind of absurd to me. And it's getting to the point now to where, like, you all are elected officials. And I remember as a kid sitting and watching Mr. Willis C. McAdory come down here and speak his mind and speak his opinion to the people. And I've heard or seen little of nothing from a lot of you. Jasmine, I just seen you on Facebook going back and forth because they mentioned you receiving funds for a house. You receive funds from an organization that support the black community. You have yet to use your voice for the black community. And then the only time you'll say something or speak up for somebody is when somebody's antagonizing you. Again, I remember when you called for help. I came and I stood here and I spoke up for you. And I stood up for you. And there were people here wearing the Puerto Rico hats when there were red hats down here. You have not said anything. And I've sat back and I've watched to wait to see if you were going to say something. You sat here and said, oh, well, I was closing on the house, so pretty much I didn't have time.
Excuse me, sir. Please don't direct.
Absolutely.
Comments to any one individual.
Absolutely. And also what I'll say is for all of you, when we came in here, we were told by our president, I shot a man in the face and got away with it. And it's still okay for him to be our president. Those people came down here for Sonia Erickson when she had an issue with gambling, but yet you all still allowed to agree those decisions to be made. We have somebody who sits there, who serves, who works for the Erie Public Schools. You are having interactions with these kids. I don't know what the plans are to bring more people into the schools to help seek justice for Cello, because the police is not what we need. You see those young people need resources. Chuck, you came, well, there was another individual who was antagonizing and showing his privilege on social media. Yes. Am I not allowed to state names?
Correct.
No,
Okay,
that's
okay.
correct.
Okay, so there was another city council person who was antagonizing me and throwing their privilege around in their cocky, arrogant attitude. So again, it gets to the point to where, like, what does leadership look like from our elected officials, and how are you actually stepping up for your constituents? If we can be antagonized, if we can watch our elected officials go at other elected officials and say people's names, but we can't get any help for the things that we need, and then we have a conversation about putting a police station in the middle of the city, but not justice for Marcello. And again, that doesn't just mean an arrest. They have yet to name the people who've shot the gun. That should be a concern. Elizabeth Hertz has yet to say anything. There was an individual who was stepping up for the assistant district attorney, speaking as if they had information on the case, but then also saying no information is being released. So at this point, you all as our elected officials are playing in our face. I don't know what you all stand for other than one specific individual. They have stepped up for us and they have been in our corner and they have had our back, and I'll say that for myself personally. But outside of that, nobody else has sat up there. And I also would like to know, like, how is it that we are all okay? Are we in agreement with our president saying what he said and it still being okay? So if we want to send the police in the community, send the police to his house. If we want to send the police in the community, send them to Kevin Seelinger's house. Send them to Aaron Osborne's house. Don't send them in our neighborhood and intimidate us unless y'all going to teach us how to be police. So if y'all going to send them in our neighborhood, teach us how to be police. Teach us how to aspire to be elected officials. Teach us how to be educated people, teachers, administrators, executive directors. Offer us the resources that we need to be better people so the police don't have to come and arrest us. I'm not against police. The police endorsed me. I'm all for police. My uncle retired as a police officer. I have a cousin who's a Pennsylvania state, I mean, not a Pennsylvania, but a state trooper in another state. I actually advocated for a college friend of mine to be able to become a Pennsylvania state police. So I'm not against police. But when do we actually offer resources for our community as opposed to enforcing law and beefing up our law enforcement and giving them facilities and training and all of this? It's intimidating to us, and you all should understand that. But nobody who sits up there looks like they represent me or my community or can advocate for my concerns. And that is very disheartening. And again, you all should be ashamed of yourself. Our president said what he said. Thank you.
Michael Keys, Erie, Pennsylvania. First, the Marcello water incident, we know that it was a state incident, but I would like to know what rules we have when an outside agency uses deadly force within our community. And I'm not talking other than the state police, which would control their own place within the state. But we do need things in place, because it could just as easily have been one of the county personnels who carry guns, or somebody, another organization that happened to be in the city for whatever reason, use deadly force. And so we do need to know what we need to do. It came out that, hey, nobody really knows what's to do when it happens, and that could have contaminated the crime scene, and, the evidence chain and things like that, which may or may not have been interrupted by the way that it was handled. Two, I'm speaking against the Millers Brothers project and the bond for it. When I was on council, we gave the initial money to buy the building, and it was being sold as a resource and as a regional training institute, and for other law enforcement and fire people, I guess. And it's just like, I was just thinking to myself, I'm the the fire chief in Pittsburgh is a personal friend of mine. They responded to a bridge falling down on a highway. With that being said, what expertise would we have here that someone would come here when they can go 60 miles and get that type of expertise? And I imagine it's the same with the police, that the larger cities have better staff people. Our third-class city only allows us to promote from within, so we have a pipeline of people who have the knowledge and resources and abilities that we have, and that's all we have. And I don't see that being marketable to someone who wants to advance their skills. People go to the FBI, they go to, you know what I mean? I'm just saying that I don't see that as being a sales point for this. However, we do need a garage. And I think maybe that the city should focus on the garage aspect of this, which we do truly need, especially since, we sort of made a land deal to give away where our other garage is. So, and whether we were right or wrong, only history will know, but we took steps to get the city out of debt. This is not worth going in debt over. I mean, I watched the study session last night, and the things that we put bonds on and put investments in are even no longer here, or they no longer have value. And so if we do have $52 million, put it into something that's going to have value 20 years from now, or at least in the interim, are going to help the individualized citizens. Everyone knows I've been a big proponent of the parks. I'd say we'd be better off spending $30 million upgrading all of our parks and making them just as nice as the parks and the public spaces that you find in the suburbs. Since I've been on the panel, we had $76 million in unanticipated revenue. We gave $17 million to the police for personnel, and since then, about another $8 million in toys and vehicles and everything. And so, in my opinion, if they wanted something, they should have prioritized better. They should have used ARP money, and they shouldn't get anything else.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other citizens to be heard? Are there any other citizens to be heard? Are there any other citizens to be heard? Hearing none, Lori.
We have about 2 minutes until the public hearing. Do you want to continue? Do you want to wait? It's going to take me more than 2 minutes. Wait. Okay. Ordinances for final passage. Council file number 16551. Pending official file ordinance 61-2025, an ordinance amending codified ordinances of the City of Erie, Article 14402, by amending subsection J to J1 and to add subsection J2 as to the use of the city-owned vehicles by police officers. Sponsored by Councilmember Nelson, seconded by Councilmember Shaw. The Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16551, and now known as Official File Ordinance 61-2025, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski.
Madam President,
Discussion.
Go ahead.
sir, I'd like to speak on that before we go. The idea behind here is nice, to say the least, but it does not make sense. The liability of putting police cars on city streets could be endless confusion. I think in the past years, Mr. Witherspoon can help me, was it mid-'80s when that first blew up?
It's about right.
Yeah, they found out that the best thing to do was to keep it in the hands of the chief, because that person knows who needs to have an emergency vehicle to get to places and things like that. This is a nice idea, but I can imagine what our insurance people will be doing with it, with police cars sitting there anytime somebody gets upset. It's a nice thing to do, go throw a brick at instead of a car that was speeding on a parkway, we could throw a brick at a police car. Not wanting to be facetious, I just want to let you know that I'm voting no on this.
Councilman?
I just want to point out, there's, for those that came to speak about Marcello, this is an example of a way to incentivize police to live in the neighborhoods. This is a way to help develop relationships of empathy between neighbors. The people that are being named in this case as being potential perpetrators in that Marcello case, I'm not sure that they lived in the city or even ever lived in diverse communities. This is an opportunity, I think, to develop those relationships. And I think there's a number of studies about what this does even financially. So it was my proposal. I'm expecting after caucus for it to be voted down, but I just wanted to have the opportunity to address that having police live in neighborhoods and getting to know their neighbors is a good thing for the safety of all.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I would like to say something
Yes.
too. Thank you. I was an elementary school teacher for many years, and the social studies component back in the day, where your community workers, your post office people, firefighters, police, you teach the children to communicate with them and to be a part of their community and neighborhoods as public servants. And I moved into my neighborhood in '87 and did have some officers in the neighborhood, and I think it really did make a difference. You talk to the people you feel safe, and, maybe I have my rose-colored glasses on, but if there was an officer, like Chuck mentioned, in Marcello Woodard's neighborhood, there is that community. I'm not one of those people who get out and go into my car immediately. I have a bus stop on my corner, on my driveway rather, and this morning there was a student sitting in my driveway. You talk to the people, you just don't put the blinders on. Community is community.
Yeah.
I apologize, Councilor Schaaf. We were just past the 9:30 for the public
Okay.
hearing mark, so I'm just going
Thanks.
to request that we come back and then refinish this dialogue. I apologize for interrupting.
No, they're fine.
Lori?
We have a public hearing, if you want to come up. Anyone that wishes to testify for or against needs to be sworn in. At the request of the Planning Department and the recommendation of the Planning Commission, City Council will hold a public hearing today at 9:30 in Chambers to consider amending the City of Erie subdivision and land development ordinance, which is called the SALDO, specifically certain provisions of Article 1, general provisions, Article 2, definitions, and Article 5, assurances of completion, and revealing in their entirety Article 3, procedures, major subdivisions, Article 4, procedures, minor subdivisions and replats, Article 7, plan requirements, and replacing the same repealed articles with Article 3, minor subdivision and land development plan specifications and processing procedures, and Article 4, major subdivision and land development plan specifications and procedures as contained herein.
Good morning, Council. My name is Cooper Moore. I'm the Assistant Planner in the
We need to
Department
swear
of...
people in still.
Speaking directly to the mic, please.
Too tall.
Yes. Good morning, Council. My name is Cooper Moore. I'm the Assistant Planner in the Department of Planning and Neighborhood Resources, as well as the Secretary to the City Planning Commission. I'm here today to inform you that for the past several months, our department has worked with others in the city and outside consultants to propose these amendments, develop and propose these amendments to the SALDO. They have been posted for a 30-day public comment period. The public comments that we receive have been incorporated into these proposed amendments, and also to let you know that the City Planning Commission has unanimously approved the proposed amendments to the SALDO. And I'll turn it over to Jackie to provide a little more information on the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Council. My name is Jackie Spry, and I'm the Director of the City of Erie's Department of Planning and Neighborhood Resources. The city's subdivision and land development ordinance, ordinance number 23-1989, was originally enacted by City Council on April 26, 1989. The subdivision and land development ordinance, otherwise known as SALDO, is the most commonly used development control mechanism in Pennsylvania. Over 90% of the municipalities have subdivision and land development regulations in effect. It is the most basic of land regulations. Subdivision is the creation of new lots or property lines, while land development involves construction of buildings and improvements. The City of Erie is vested by law with jurisdiction and control of the subdivision and improvements to land located within the city limits. The power to regulate and approve subdivisions and land developments is delegated to the Planning Commission of the City of Erie. Since its adoption, the SALDO has not been revised to correct a number of technical shortcomings mainly those affecting the procedures for reviewing and processing land development applications. The City Planning Commission, in collaboration with the Planning Development, with the Planning Department and the city's planning consultant, Michael Baker International, identified the need to ensure that the SALDO includes clear and effective procedures for reviewing subdivision and land development applications. As a result, the proposed amendments address several key issues. 1, clarification and updates to review and approval process with particular emphasis on land development review procedures. 2, revisions to the statement of purpose to align more closely with the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code, or MPC. 3, updates to review fees and key definitions to reflect current standards and terminology. And 4, correction of typographical errors and technical inconsistencies found throughout the existing ordinance. The proposed draft amendments to the SALDO include revisions to several existing provisions, as well as the repeal and replacement of entire sections to improve organization and functionality. It introduces a clearer framework for plan submission, review, and approval, and incorporates updating supporting checklists and workflow diagrams to guide applicants and improve administrative efficiency. These draft amendments have undergone thorough review and vetting by a range of subject matter experts, including local government planning specialists at the state level, the city's legal team, internal city departments such as planning, engineering, and zoning, and the City Planning Commission. Additionally, as Cooper mentioned, the proposed changes were made available to for public review and input during a 30-day comment period. The proposed amendment update and the proposed amendments update and improve Erie's development regulations by addressing outdated provisions and clarifying review procedures. These changes will help the city more effectively manage growth, support private development, and ensure that future projects meet established standards for safety, quality, and eventually design. Adopting the revised ordinance will also improve transparency, consistency in decision-making, and alignment with the city's overall planning goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Thank you.
Okay. Hearing none, we thank you very much. And I don't believe we'll be voting on that today. Okay.
Anybody speak against it, or anybody else?
Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against? Are there anyone to speak against? Hearing none, Lord.
This concludes the public hearing.
Kathy, you want to continue?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
coming back to the discussion on item 1, I do agree that there needs to be improvement in the connection, the relationships, especially with our police right now, just within the community. I think that this operates from a presumption that a presence of cars, though, would be received in a way that is not one that's currently based in tension or based in fear. And I think that this is putting a step forward too fast. And this is not me not acknowledging that there needs to be some repair and some harm and reduction of things that are happening with the relationships between the community and fire or and police right now. So my fear is if we pass this right now, even though the jurisdiction would still remain in the hands of the police chief, that we're taking a step too fast as council in that reparation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none?
Voting on the ordinance. Members Brzezinski,
No.
Flores,
No.
Nelson, Schaaf, Titus,
No.
Troop,
No.
Witherspoon.
No.
Resolution fails to pass. Yeas 2, nays 5.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
having this thing shut down wasn't my intent from that standpoint, because Chuck did bring up some good points. Maybe something we should look forward to in the future is local precincts. There's a lot of schools are closed at night. If we could have a couple squad cars at Deal, as an example, or at Gridley, the special school, for police presence, that's very important. But to bring them home, I couldn't go for that. It's something that we should maybe take a look at down the line. Here we have enough cars around here. We have policemen that are roving around. Might be good for the kids to know where they are too. Just a thought. Thank you.
Well, that's a good thought, because in the past we have discussed that in the days of Mario Bagnoni, Mr. Thompson, and hopefully it'll be looked at again. And I think that would be a great idea to create precincts. Therefore, you have the presence of police in the community, all communities. Great idea. Hey, Lori?
Moving on, ordinances, official ordinance number 62, 2025, an ordinance authorizing an increase in the non-electoral debt of the City of Erie, Erie County, Pennsylvania, by authorizing and approving the issuance and sale in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $52,350,000 general obligation bonds, series of 2025 bonds for the purposes recited herein, directing the city clerk to prepare, certify, and file the required debt statement and to take all other necessary action, covenanting that the city shall include the amount of annual debt service in this budget for each fiscal year, providing for registered bonds, date of bonds, and payment dates, providing for the facsimile, signature, seal, and authentication, approving the form of the bonds, paying agents authentication, certificate endorsement and registration, providing for temporary bonds, providing for the maximum stated principal maturity amounts, and fixing the maximum rates of interest on the bonds, awarding the bonds a private sale, creating sinking funds, authorizing the proper officers of the city to contract with the bank for its services as a sinking fund, depository, and paying agent, authorizing and directing the city clerk to certify and file with the Department of Community and Economic Development certified copies of the necessary proceedings, covenanting that the proceeds of the 2025 bond shall not be used in such a manner as to cause the 2025 bonds to be arbitrage bonds under federal tax law provisions, authorizing the proper officers of the city to do all things necessary to carry out the ordinance, providing for the municipal bond insurance, and rescinding all inconsistent ordinances.
Discussion?
Yes, I would like, however we need to go with the way we talked about in caucus.
Amending the bond amount to the 20,000? Is that the one?
Chuck's friendly amendment.
So that, it has to be your friendly amendment.
Yeah, you and
You
Mel
and
have
Mel
to.
Right.
would be agreeing to reducing the the purchaser is not authorized to fund more than $20 million in funds to capital project funds, is the statement.
And that will fund phase 1 and 2.
So, Mr. Betza, how do we go about doing that?
First of all, I guess we need to make sure we're clear on the number. Then it would take both the approval of Mr. Witherspoon and Ms. Schaaf as the individuals that motioned and second the proposal. So, Mr. Nelson, are you proposing that that number is 20 million? I thought it was a different number.
20.5.
So,
sorry, I left out $500,000. Can't do that.
So there is a request from council to the individual that motioned for it and seconded it to put a cap on the number of, or the dollars for capital improvement to 20.5 million. If there, we place that cap, it would
You say
likely
20.5 or 25?
20.5.
20, huh?
20.5.
20.5.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess the first question, is that agreeable to Mr. Witherspoon and Ms. Shaw?
Yes.
Yes, because I believe in this project, and the way it's written here, I understand that my colleagues would not vote for it. Public safety for fire and police in the Central City neighborhood is a good thing.
So with that, then we would be voting on the ordinance as advertised with the understanding that there is a cap placed on the capital improvement of $20.5 million.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that number again?
20.5.
Yes.
20.5.
Mr. President,
Yes.
once again, we're moving without our shoes tied, fall on our faces. I'd like to make a move to table this. PFM should be involved in this. I understand that we don't have them in our budget right now, but I believe City Council has money for those kind of expenditures. If we have a one-time, have them come in, these are the financial gurus that supposedly guide us in our journey here to being successful. I would feel much better knowing that they're telling us this is the right thing to do. With the change of administration, if I were the next one coming in, I would like to have a better control of it myself, not have it handed to me the way it's being handed right now. So with that, if I can get a second, we'll try to table it until next meeting, not kill it, but get all the facts that we need to get, because, again, we're jumping. That's it.
Attorney, does the motion to table overrides the motion that's on the table?
It doesn't override. If there is a motion and a second to table, then we would immediately then vote. It's a non-debatable motion. You vote on whether or not you wish to table it.
Let me also clarify. The amendment's already made, right? As a
The
friendly
amendment has been made because the motion and the second by Mr. Witherspoon and Ms. Schaaf now reflect a cap of 20.5 million.
Yeah.
So we're ready to vote on that ordinance as proposed. Mr. Brzezinski has made a motion to table. If there's a second, we then proceed to vote on whether or not we wish to table. If the motion to table passes, then we stop. If the motion to table fails, we then go right to a vote on the pending motion, which again has been amended.
I'll second the table.
Do we all understand what we're about to vote on?
So you're going to be voting whether or not you wish to table this. If you vote yes, you're saying we're not going to do anything today. If you vote no, then we're going to come back and vote on the pending motion.
Okay. Councilman Brzezinski made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded.
Voting on motion to table, Councilmember Brzezinski. Flores.
No.
Nelson.
No.
Schaaf.
No.
Titus. Troop. Witherspoon.
No.
So that means,
Motion to table fails 3-4.
so now we're going to vote on whether or not we wish to pass the second reading of the ordinance. Again, the only change is that now there is a cap of $20.5 million placed on the project.
Voting on the ordinance as amended. Councilmember Brzezinski.
No.
Flores.
Yes.
Nelson. Schaaf. Titus.
No.
Troop. Witherspoon. City Council pass official file ordinance 62, 2025 by yeas 5, nays 2 on final passage. Okay. I think we're changing the number on this one. We're allowed to go lower on an ordinance? Sure.
Yes.
Guide me through.
Because City Council had approved the authorization of the prior ordinance, then the ordinance for the Erie Sewer Authority bond would be at the amount of $59,700,000. And that amount was reduced from what was advertised because of the not-to-exceed authorizations for the debt allowances for the city. We needed to see what the city was going to do with the prior issuance. So the new one to be considered is at $59,700,000.
Okay, an ordinance.
So with that, we motion and advertise the not to exceed at $68,460,000. We would need to amend that.
Who are the sponsors?
I don't know.
Myself and Mr. Witherspoon, I believe.
Yes.
So we would again now be requesting a friendly amendment to reduce that number from $68,460,000 to $59,700,000 as identified by Attorney Wachter.
Could you repeat that number again?
I'm asking both Mr. Witherspoon and Ms. Schaaf if they're agreeable to reducing the not-to-exceed number from $68,460,000 down to $59,700,000 as identified by Attorney Wachter.
Yes.
Yes.
So with that, we're good to go. Now we would vote, unless we have a table, but we would vote on that pending ordinance as amended.
So just to clarify that when you advertise for something, if the number is lower, you don't have to have a new ordinance. An ordinance approving the plan of the Erie Sewer Authority for the issuance of an aggregate amount not to exceed $59,700,000 sewer revenue bond series of 2025 and setting forth the amount, interest rates, and maturity dates of the bonds, authorizing the authority to proceed with the plan of financing, authorizing the execution and delivery of a lease agreement, and the incurrence of lease rental debt therapy, thereby authorizing the specified officers of the City of Erie to prepare and certify the debt statement and to do all other acts necessary to carry out the provisions of the ordinance, setting forth the payment of the sewer revenue bonds and the source of such payments, repealing all inconsistent ordinances, and providing that the ordinance is effective immediately. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Shaw. The Council File Ordinance 63, 2025 be finally passed by City Council as amended. Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon. City Council passed Official File Ordinance 16552 and now known as Official File Ordinance 63, 2025, finally by yea 7, nay 0. Okay. Council File Number 16553, Official Ordinance 64, 2025, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $6,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof for a contribution from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania fiscal year 2023 certified local government grant acting through the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission. Sponsored by Councilmember Flores, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. The Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16553 and now known as Official File Ordinance 64, 2025, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon. City Council pass official file ordinance 64, 2025 by yeas 7, nays 0. Council file number 16, 554, official ordinance 65, 2025. An ordinance appropriating the sum of $36,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof for an Erie Community Foundation 2025 Helping Today grant to purchase an SCBA washer for firefighter cancer prevention and equipment maintenance. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Witherspoon. The Council File Ordinance Number 16554, and now known as Official File Ordinance 65, 2025, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 65, 2025, finally by yeas 7, nays 0. Council File Number 16555, Official Ordinance 66, 2025, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $1,097,563 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof from the City of Erie ARP funds interest and will be used to fund the Capital Improvement Fund. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Witherspoon. The Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16, 555, and now known as Official File Ordinance 66, 2025, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon. City Council passed Official File Ordinance 66, 2025 by yeas 7, nays 0. Ordinances for first reading. Council File Number 16557, an ordinance amending Ordinance Number 26, 1958, the traffic code of the City of Erie by the installation of stop signs at 5 intersections. Lakeside Drive and Eagle Point stopping at Eagle Point, Lakeside Drive and Euclid Avenue stopping on Euclid, Lakeside Drive and Sanford Place stopping on Sanford Place, East 8th Street and Bacon Street stopping on East 8th, and East 8th Street and Marne Road stopping at East 8th. Sponsored by Councilmember Titus, seconded by Councilmember Flores. The Council File Ordinance Number 16557 have been read as hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon. City Council passed, read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16557 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16558, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $8,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. The contribution is from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Pennsylvania Historical and Museums Commission from the FFY 2023 Certified Local Government Grant. Sponsored by Councilmember Flores, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. The Council File Ordinance 16558 have been read as hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16558 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Thank you. Council File Number 16559, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $300,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue. It's a donation to provide for the expenditure thereof for the Cockwell Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project. Funds were appropriated in 2024 and received in 2025. Sponsored by Councilmember Nelson, seconded by Councilmember Titus. The Council File Ordinance Number 16559 have been read as hereby adopted on first reading by City Council.
Can I get clarification on this? I just noticed it as you were reading it. It says the sum of $300,000 from unappropriated, unanticipated, but then it also says at the end appropriated in 2024.
That was the funding, that was the donation from Des McDonald.
I understand
It was put into liquid fuels. Now it's being put into the project fund.
Okay.
He's asking if it's.
What about the difference between unappropriated at the beginning of this and appropriated at the end? Should one of those be changed? Has this been appropriated at the beginning of the ordinance, where it's stated later in the ordinance that it has been appropriated?
When it was first put into liquid fuels, it was unappropriated. Now it's being appropriated specifically for the project.
Okay, okay. Just wanted to make sure that we had our.
Yep.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Making one comment on that 300,000. It's a classic example of the community working together. That whole project was dead in the water until Attorney Richards stepped in with members of the immediate community down there in Frontier, and we were able to put it together. I'm sorry I was out of town when they unveiled it on Monday. If I would have known ahead of time, I would have been there. Anyway, I salute those folks. They knew what they wanted, and they worked together to make it happen. Thanks again.
Councilmember Nelson, it does say that lower in the ordinance, it's unappropriated and anticipated. Sponsored by Nelson and Titus, voting on 16,559. Councilmember Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, and Witherspoon. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16,559 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Okay, Council President, this takes us to new business.
Yeah, the reader.
Motion to remove the balance.
It's been moved to move the balance. I'll second.
Any separations? Any other separations? Any other separations? Voting on moving the balance of the agenda, members Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, and Witherspoon. Number 1, sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. Resolved by the Council of the City of Erie, receiving the communication from Mayor Joe Schember and confirmed by Erie City Council that Carl Anderson of 3830 Parade Boulevard, Erie 16504, is hereby appointed to the Erie Planning Commission as an alternate with a term ending December 31st, 2029. Discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I cannot in good conscience go forward with this recommendation, given the misinformation that this individual has presented at several city council meetings, including attacking sitting board, city councilor, and their character while in those conducts that were false in their nature. I don't think that this is a good stewardship of this position, given the things that they will be allowed and permitted to vote on. So I'm asking that we as a council consider these positions and we don't take these positions and these appointments lightly.
Any other discussion?
Any other discussion?
Yeah, it would have been pro or con. It would have been more manly to address that with the person we're talking about rather than to blow him up on TV. If we had those kind of reservations, then his name shouldn't have been brought forward like this. I'm voting for it. The mayor knows what he's doing with these people.
Any other discussion?
I'll offer, a lot of the misinformation has been on stuff that I've personally sponsored. I've always addressed it with him privately, but now we do have to make a public vote. So I think it's It's okay. Yeah, I think it's an appropriate response.
Any other discussion? Voting on the resolution. Members Brzezinski? Flores?
No.
Nelson? Schaaf? Titus?
No.
Troop? Witherspoon? Motion passes, resolution passes, yeas 5, nays 2. Council President, this takes us to new business.
New business? We just finished that.
You just finished that.
Committee reports.
Committee report.
I mean, the committee reports. I am not having a great day.
All right, something you didn't like about, new business, huh? You want to do it again? Okay.
Move the balance.
Again. Committee report.
Yeah, want me to start?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I mean, I don't have much to report. I just wanted to make a comment that now with the Bayfront being blocked off and closed at State and SAS, that please, vehicle operators, have patience and courtesy for the pedestrians who have to cross to get to the Blasco Library. Sometimes even with the speed bump, people are still shooting through. And in the cross spot, you're supposed to wait for the pedestrian to cross. We're not supposed to be waiting for the vehicles. So I understand you're just trying to get on about your day, but there are handicap and medically people who use medical equipment that need a little bit more time than the 15 seconds you're giving them to get across. So just please be conscientious. It's a whole year. We all have to work together to make this growing pain bearable. So I just wanted to make sure people are aware. Pedestrians are not in a vehicle. They're not in the comfort of their car. So please just be cautious and, look out for them. Thank you.
I had an airport authority meeting. County Council has one more appointment to be making to that seat in Councilwoman Ellen's district. She likes to stay within that district, so that's something that was discussed, that they have a vacancy that County Council has to be putting up. They also discussed the possibility of an airport runway extension and continued efforts with pursuing a federal grant to once again pursue an additional flight to Erie. They're hoping that information comes out soon. I want to come back to the Miller Brothers project, the decrease of $10 million of that authorized funding. If that funding is needed to complete phase 3 without any further grants or external funding, by the time that bond would get issued, as the project moved forward, I just want to point out that there's a lot of news right now about interest rates dropping. There's a Federal Reserve meeting. I think there's a lot of reason to think that by the time another $10 million bond would get issued, we'd be looking at a rate that would be 1 or 1.5% lower. And that's as much as a $2 to $3 million savings we would see over 20 years. That's the number that we'd be looking at. So there's a lot to be, there's a lot of timing issues that come with this. I'm excited that that the project will, I can't say necessarily excited, but I'm happy that the project will be seen to its completion, and I think that taking it in these phases does help make it a financial pill that's a little easier to swallow. So, thank you.
Thank you. Doctor?
On August 25th, EMTA had one of their board meetings. Unfortunately, I had to miss just due to a conflict, so I will report out on everything that occurred at our next meeting. On 8/26, the zoo board met. They continue to operate in their current structure. They had a positive showing on Erie Gives Day and wanted me to relay that they were very grateful for the community for showing up and asked that the community continues to show their support. We are, there's a lot being negotiated now on the backside of the resolution that we had passed at the last meeting, so there's more to come eventually on that. As far as just where we stand with Marcella Woodard and I continue to remain disappointed that there's really been no real public transparency on where we are in this process. There's no resolution, and I think that this continues to exacerbate just the tensions, and that this is dangerous for the community. I feel that many members on council, we're stuck in what we can do and what we can advocate, but I am very worried that the longer that this goes out, the more tension that's going to be created in the community. So just, I think we need to be aware of that.
Yeah, my folks have been pretty busy. Port Authority working with their events, close out the 8 Great Tuesdays. A wonderful summer for everybody who went there. The Port Authority has their hands full now. The closing of Parkway, just one of the most visible things that they're working on. The coke plant is still being dealt with, and it goes on and on and on. The other folks are not any less busy. Mr. Pine and Attorney Walzak are working diligently to get a solid plan together to move forward and really save our zoo in a common sense way. I'm very proud of them for doing that, and I have no control over them, of course, but I do stare at them sometimes. I was going to make a comment about the dock, but I'm going to let Mr. Troop do that. Just add me to it. Thank you.
Councilman Troop.
That's that's Julie. Yeah, Port, you're right. Been here too long already.
Thank you. Mr. President, I did reach out to the people on my assignments and through email. It's very tough for me to get to things during the day. As you know, I work full-time for Erie Public Schools. So the only one who responded was Kelly in permits, and she wanted me to report that in the second quarter, they were able to give out 1,536 permits in the second quarter. And that's all I have for that. I do want to report on some events that I attended. I attended 2 events on August 25th. One was a Blue Coat event in Perry Square, and another one was done by Erie Juneteenth celebration at Veterans Stadium. Those were both like school supply, back to school type events. I did see Miss Daria Devlin at Perry Square. It was nice to see our new superintendent and her CAO. They've been very visible at community events. They're like starting to rival Mayor Joe Schimber for the amount of events that they attend. So it was good to see. Also like to thank the Erie community for attending the event that I've organized along with local musicians for the last 15 years called Blues for Shoes. It was at the Big Bar. It raises money. Local musicians get together. We raise money for school supplies, and then we give them away free. And so we did that last Sunday. We did that on Sunday, September 1st. Councilwoman Kathy Schaaf was there. Thanks for coming. I'd like to thank the owner of the Big Bar and all the local musicians, the citizens. Steve Trahosky was involved. He's been involved with every Blues for Shoes, and he owns the City Gallery. I'd like to thank the members of the Breeze Band. They have a crazy band leader that makes them do a lot of things, so to thank them for doing that. If you know anyone who needs school supplies, we'll be giving them away Saturday. The address is 628 West 18th Street from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's right next to International Bakery. It's called Odessa's Place. And I also wanted to just speak on, some of the citizens to be heard. I think we had Michelle, Deontay, and Mike speak today. A couple words that come to mind when I think of those 3 people is like they're passionate about the whole situation. They've been consistent about the whole situation. They all spoke about just wanting justice for Cello. And all 3 of them also spoke, seems like they're very knowledgeable about what's going on in the city. And they just want more transparency about what's going on with money and things like that. So, and last but not least, I know Councilman Brzezinski wanted me to mention the Port Authority, and that they lit the
Bicentennial Tower.
Bicentennial Tower purple. And
Guess what color it is, folks?
Erie High School, right?
Erie High School purple.
Right. So thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have.
I kind of thought it was for the Vikings too, but we'll go east side, Erie High.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mr. President. I attended the Water Authority meeting, and they hired 2 new people there and were introduced to the Water Authority. I am thankful for all of the wonderful happenings that we have had this summer. The Firefighters Challenge was absolutely amazing, and we have a couple firefighters who qualified for the national championship now. The Tall Ships was absolutely wonderful, and Zabawa, and thankful for organizations like the bands, the Blues for Shoes, and I also attended the Blue Coat event, and that was great to see our new superintendent again, like Mo Troop had mentioned, and the kids to get book bags, and they were raffling off bicycles as well. I attended the Kakwa Bridge ribbon cutting. It was great to see so many neighborhood and community people gather around. That truly is a wonderful thing. And, it just goes to show that the generosity of people can really do some great works in their neighborhood and our community. And that's such a beautiful area. I hadn't been that way in years, but I think I might incorporate it into my walking area. I was talking to people who, walk every day down there, and it really is a very beautiful spot. We have so many wonderful areas, the Frontier area. Grateful for everybody doing their part for our city. Sad to see the 8 Great Tuesdays come to an end. Thank you for everyone who put on events this summer. The Erie Downtown Partnership was a prime organization that kept Perry Square busy the whole summer. And it's good to know that we still have the Hispanic Festival and the Irish Festival and some other things, like there's going to be a car show downtown this Friday as well. So as long as that weather holds up, I'll be there in the community. The Labor Day parade was nice to see people out and about and promoting labor and industry in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I just read that Otis 12 is going to be in the East 14th Street area, EMTA, so that'll bring some great business to that area as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to report that I have been in conversation, phone-wise, with the president of County Council regarding Mr. Woodard and the reports. He informed me that the DA has the reports from the state police, and very shortly, how short is shortly, I don't know, but very shortly, a decision will be rendered, and the first communication will go directly to the family, and then the media, etc. So we're waiting for that decision. And I know it's very tough on the families, and it rolls over into the community. And I say to the community, it's tough to be patient. It's hard, I know. But you must be patient. Any major disturbance in our city because of the time that has gone by, any major disturbance will automatically bring our police force into action to protect our city. And that means you're bringing our police force into something that they had nothing to do with. I'm waiting just like you. I know some members of the family, but to come to council and make threats as an individual, but yet you say you represent a community. It is very important that we wait. I don't know how long. It shouldn't be very long because the reports are in and we're just waiting for a decision. Treasurer, no report. Administration.
Good morning. Just a few things here. So I wanted to remind everybody there's a ribbon cutting today for the groundbreaking of the East Bayfront Greenway Trail today at 2 o'clock at 434 East 7th Street. These projects take a long time to unfold, and you might remember that this all started back in 2018 with our initial Summer of Hope, in which we went door to door in the East Bayfront neighborhood. Came out with the East Bayfront Neighborhood Plan in 2019. Based on resident input of the need for recreational areas, this project started to take shape. COVID hit, stalled things a little bit, but then we got ARP funding, and everybody voted to dedicate $1.5 million toward the implementation of this particular project. So today, the long-awaited groundbreaking will happen. We want to thank the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Erie for taking on the leadership of this project. This Thursday, we will also be reopening the Flagship Fund grants. We have a grant that we received from the Commonwealth to double the number of grants that we're able to give this round. So we have an additional $100,000. To remind everyone, those are up to $5,000 grants, reimbursable with a 1-to-1 match requirement. We'll be announcing more details on that tomorrow. I also want to draw everybody's attention to the Heroes Concert that will be happening on Thursday, September 11th, down at Liberty Park, thanks to the Robert Irvine Foundation, Erie Insurance, and Sunbelt Rentals. There will also be an EMTA shuttle between 4:30 and 11 p.m. Music starts at 5:30. The gates open at 5. We found out that a grant that we received that was stalled is now being reissued through the EPA. It's a Thriving Communities grant for $350,000 to remediate in-home daycares in the city of lead, asbestos, and radon. So we have an onboarding call today, and we'll begin that process. I wanted to say that the lights on the Bicentennial Tower are purple in honor of Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. But go Royals also. And wanted to draw everybody's attention also to the Pennsylvania Municipal League Summit, which is happening in Erie this year, October 1st through the 4th at the Bayfront Convention Center. There will be a lot of great presentations on municipal governance, and so I hope to see you all there. And finally, the Fiesta on the Square is kicking off in 10 days, September 13th in Perry Square from 12 to 7. The Erie Latino Leadership Association has been hard at work on planning. They will be releasing the final details this week and next week, but it's going to be a great time. They have all kinds of food vendors lined up and non-food vendors and musicians and bands, and it'll be a great afternoon. So that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Attorney Betts.
I have nothing.
Lori.
Just to adjourn.
Oh, well, good report. Meeting's adjourned.
City Council adjourns at 10:28 a.m. Members Witherspoon, Brzezinski, Flores, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop.